everybody, very good evening. My name is Vinu Venkatesh and welcome to another lecture with me on the English language for SAI Education. We are going to discuss the rules for adjectives today, and yesterday we talked about adjectives, the definition and the concept. So today it's going to be rules, so it's definitely going to be very interesting. So let's go right in. We're going to talk about the rules of adjectives today. Now remember, we said that adjectives indicate the quality or a characteristic of a noun or a pronoun, right? Things like good, tall, heavy, etc. are different types of adjectives. So sometimes when we compare two nouns or pronouns, we compare them based on their quality or characteristic. For example, you may say that Amir Khan is fairer than Salman Khan, or Mohanlal is more popular than Mammootty, or Mammootty is a better actor than Mohanlal. Or you may also say that Mohanlal's acting skills are the same as those of Mammootty, right? We need to compare people sometimes. So in such cases, how do we use adjectives? So when you compare things or compare people, there are different degrees of adjectives that we use. For example, when we are saying that two nouns or pronouns have the same quality, then we use a particular format or sentence structure. But if I say that one person or thing is better or worse than something else, then there is a different sentence structure. That structure is called, and the adjectives used in that structure are called the comparative degree of adjective. In the first case, where we are saying that two nouns or pronouns have the same quality, that, as I said, has a particular sentence structure. The way of saying it has a particular sentence structure. And the adjectives used to indicate that two nouns or pronouns are same in that particular characteristic or quality, that adjective usage is called the positive degree of adjective. So what is superlative degree? Superlative degree is used to indicate that a noun or a pronoun is of the highest quality or degree of something. You know, we sometimes say best. That is the superlative degree of the adjective good. Let's take a look at examples and format. So what do you mean by format? In each degree of the adjectives, we have to use the adjective in a particular format or structure. In the positive degree, what are we doing? We are comparing two persons or things which are of equal degree. In such a case, we have to, how can we use the adjective in the sentence? It should be as plus adjective plus as. For example, Ram is as strong as Shyam. Uti is as beautiful as Munnar. Neeta is as good as Sita. Suppose, now if we want to compare two persons or things which are of unequal degree, that situation is called the comparative degree. And how do we use adjectives there? We use adjectives in that case in basically three ways. One is we add er to the adjective plus than, or we add more in front of the adjective, that is more plus adjective plus than. The third case is when we don't do either of this, that is we don't add er, neither do we add more in front of the adjective. Adjectives such as good fall in this category. Okay, let's take a look at this example. Ram is stronger than Shyam. We have added er to the adjective strong. Uti is more beautiful than Munnar. Here we cannot add er to the adjective beautiful, because that's just the way the rule is. We have to, the comparative of beautiful is more beautiful, not beautifuler. So that's why Uti is more beautiful than Munnar. Next, Neeta is better than Sita. Now good is an adjective which does not fall in either of these two categories. The comparative degree of good is better, and the superlative degree of good is best. We'll come to that soon. Okay. Now, speaking of the superlative degree, okay, what are we saying? We are saying that a particular noun or a pronoun is of the highest quality or degree of something, meaning it is the best. It is better than everything or everybody else. In this case, we add est to the adjective, or we say most plus the adjective. Or the third category is the case of the adjective good. Similarly is the case with the adjective bad. The comparative of bad is worse and the superlative of bad is worst. Okay, you'll just have to learn some of these adjectives by heart. For example, Ram is the strongest, full stop, or you can also say Ram is the strongest of all. Here, as you can see, we have added est to the adjective strong. Okay, now Ooty is the most beautiful hill station. We cannot say more beautifulest or beautifulest, because beautiful is an adjective which falls in the second category, where we add most plus the adjective. Now look at the next example. Neeta is the best. Best is the superlative of the adjective good. So it is good, better, best. Another example is bad. Bad, worse, and worst. Worst is the superlative degree of the adjective bad. Worse is the superlative is the comparative degree of the adjective bad. Okay. Now, next rule. So let's move on to the rules now. What is the first rule saying? The first rule says that in the positive as well as the comparative degrees, whenever there is a pronoun that is used after the adjective, it should always be the subjective case pronoun. That is things like I, you, he, she, it, they, etc. We cannot use objective case or possessive. We cannot use objective case pronouns at all. Possessive case pronouns are possible, but definitely not objective case. For example, Rita is as strong as she. It is wrong to say that Rita is as strong as her. Okay, same rule applies in the comparative degree also. So we can say Rita is stronger than she, but we cannot say Rita is stronger than her. I know Rita is stronger than her sounds better, but that is a normal mistake that we all make. We have to use subjective case pronoun. Second rule, if there is in a sentence where we are using positive degree of adjectives, the structure of the sentence before the positive degree of the adjective and after the adjective must be the same. Meaning, for example, the apples from California are as sweet as, so it is a positive degree adjective, right? The apples from Kashmir, or those from Kashmir, meaning the apples from California are as sweet as the apples from Kashmir, or you can also say those from Kashmir. Why are we saying this? Because see, look at the phrase before the adjective, the apples from California. So the phrase after the adjective, that is as sweet as, after that expression, we have to say the apples from Kashmir, or we can also say the apples from California are as sweet as those from Kashmir. The same applies to the comparative degree. So the apples from California are sweeter than the apples from Kashmir, or the apples from California are sweeter than those from Kashmir. So the phrase before the positive degree or comparative degree of adjective, that structure should be the same structure that is there after the positive and comparative degrees of adjectives. Got it? Let's look at the next rule. What does the next rule say? Basically, in the positive degree of adjectives, what are we trying to say? We are trying to say that two nouns or pronouns are of the equal degree or level. Suppose we want to use a positive degree of adjectives to say that they are not of the equal level or degree. What would the sentence structure be? In that case, we have to use not plus so plus adjective plus as. In the normal case, what do? We simply use as plus adjective plus as, right? For example, we looked at, see, Rita is as strong as she. Now, if I want to say that Rita is not as strong as she, then I should say Rita is not so strong as she. It is wrong to say Rita is not as strong as she. That first as has to be removed. For example, see, Rita is not so strong as Sita. Okay? You have to just learn this rule. Now, next rule. In the comparative degree, double comparatives cannot be used. For example, it is wrong to say Dhoni is much better than Virat. We cannot use this because better already is in the comparative degree form. So there is no need to use much in front of better. It is wrong. Simply to say Dhoni is better than Virat. Okay. You'll have to learn adjectives where we don't use the adjective plus ER form or more plus adjective form in the comparative. Those adjectives need not. Now, rule number 5. Now, rule number 5 says that comparative degree is also used in the following types of comparisons. For example, Veena is the better of the two sisters. Michael is the faster of the two swimmers. Sachin is the more talented of the two batsmen. So basically, instead of saying Veena is better than Sheetal, suppose Veena and her sister, okay, and I want to say that Veena is better of the two sisters. Then I have to say Veena is the better of the two sisters. This kind of comparison can also be made. The format for this is basically the plus adjective plus er, which is what we saw here. Michael is the faster of the two swimmers. Okay. Plus of. So the plus adjective plus er plus of, or the second case is the plus more plus adjective plus of. Example, Sachin is the more talented of the two batsmen. The adjective talented in the positive case is as talented. In the comparative case, it is more talented, and superlative case, it is most talented. It is wrong to say talenter or talentest. That is wrong. It is talented, more talented, most talented. Okay. So you'll have to learn which adjective has what kind of form in the positive case, positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree. Let's look at rule number 6. Now, excuse me. Until now, we have used the comparative degree of adjectives to compare two different persons or two different things, two different nouns and two different pronouns. Suppose I want to talk about the same thing. For example, in our previous examples, we always looked at two different people. We said Rita is stronger than Sita. Now, if I want to talk only about Rita and I want to compare two qualities in Rita herself, how do I use the comparative degree of adjectives? In such a case, see, one person may have different qualities with different degrees, right? So if I want to compare two qualities, and let's say quality number 1 is at a higher degree than quality number 2. For example, Rita is very intelligent, Rita is beautiful, but Rita's intelligence is more than her beauty. If I want to say something like that, how should I say? What this rule is telling us is that the more positive characteristic or adjective should be of the form more plus adjective that plus than. We should not use the er form. For example, he is more lucky than hardworking. See, the comparative degree of the adjective lucky is luckier. But in this case, this person, this guy, this man, his luck is of a higher degree than his hardworking nature. So when we compare two qualities, the quality which is of a higher degree, which is lucky in this case, how do we write that? We write it as more plus adjective plus than. We do not add er to the that adjective. We always follow this format. So going back to my example, Rita is more intelligent than beautiful. Okay, so that's the format that we need to follow. Now let's move to rule number 7. What does it say? Now in the comparative degree for all adjectives, what is a format? It is basically adjective plus er plus than, or it is more plus adjective or than, more plus adjective plus than, right? In the third case is adjectives such as good and bad, where the comparative degree of these adjectives is different. For good, it is better, so it is better plus than. For bad, it is worse, so it is worse plus than. Now, there are some adjectives which are not followed by than in the comparative. Instead, they are followed by to. What are these adjectives? These adjectives are adjectives ending in IOR, such as superior, inferior, and exterior, and adjectives such as prefer and elder. We always follow them by to in the comparative degree. For example, copper is inferior to gold. Okay, I prefer ice cream to cake. He is elder to me. I know normally in our normal language we say he is elder than me. It is wrong. It is actually he is elder to me. But for older, we have to use than instead of to. For example, she is older than her cousin. You just have to memorize it. There's no other way out. So some rules are to be studied as such. Now, the last rule is basically there are some adjectives where we don't use the comparative comparative degree more or the superlative degree word most. Why? Because these adjectives are already in the superlative degree. For example, best, extreme, ideal, absolute, perfect, complete, whole, any geometrical shape. For example, round, square, etc. For example, Sachin Tendulkar is the ideal batsman. Steffi Graf is the best female player. We cannot use more or most in front of these adjectives because they already indicate the highest level of that quality. Again, you will have to just memorize these adjectives, which adjectives fall in which category, what are the exceptions, and so on. There's no further explanation as such, but this is to be learnt as such. So this brings us to the end of this lecture on rules of adjectives. We will be looking at some common mistakes made, some practice questions in our next class. So in case you have any questions or comments, please do put them in the comment box. And until next time, wish you all the best and take care.